Hello, my name is Chris, aka Suits. Welcome to an imperative development log. For my first devlog, I wanted to give a good overview of the game, what my ambitions are for the game, and the current state that it's at. Then over time we can see how that either changes or comes about. I don't really plan for these devlogs to be like a long format like this normally, but I think it's a good base to explain the game and the goals I have for it. The intention for Imperative is to be a modern infantry-focused tactical real-time strategy game where you command a platoon of special forces in open dynamic missions with advanced combat mechanics and persistent evolving characters. I'm going to cover the features of the game in more detail. These are planned features but should give a good indication of the type of game and the gameplay I'm aiming for. There'll be an emphasis on small teams, 4 to 6 operators, with each team having a team leader that directs their team and reports to you, the commander. I plan to have a notification system which will act like the platoon radio, where teams will report their situations regularly, whether in contact, how they're going, good or bad, things like that. Although there will be the ability to direct individual soldiers if needed, but the main focus will be in directing the teams, and bonuses will come in the way of stats if you keep your teams together and, their team leaders present and things like that. You'll be able to move teams in larger formations also, or even the whole platoon as one big formation, but the formations will be available for, individual teams or multiple teams combined together. I'm going to have an advanced tactics menu, which will provide additional options for conducting either attacks, withdrawals, or just more advanced movement options. The plan is to have the tactics selectable in an action menu, and then it'll bring up a preview of that tactic or whatever it is, and you can then tweak the parameters of that action. So you can adjust the spacing, position, distance, and get it fine-tuned to what you want to execute, and then you can either queue that up or execute it immediately. So you can, with a bunch of teams, you can queue up a bunch of advanced tactics all combined together and then basically go, 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 and execute all that. The combat is where I hope to make Imperative stand out from other regular RTS games. The units won't have health bars and be destroyed like you would have in an RTS. You won't build units from a base or anything like that. Instead, you'll have like a suppression, morale / wounded type effect that factors in several battlefield environment effects, such as like the rate of incoming versus outgoing fire, flanking fire, weapon types being used by your team or against your team, and whether or not you have a counter available. If you're getting shot at by a heavy machine gun, for example, and you can return the favor, or if you can't, then it could have a significant impact on your team's morale and their suppression. And then also how the team's doing, as in wounded and whatnot, will also impact that rating. If the rating is bad, teams will begin withdrawing themselves, and if it gets dire or left unchecked, or you don't support a team that's getting hit hard, then it could turn into a full rout. You won't have much control over a team that wants to withdraw. They're going to withdraw. Where positive ratings come into it, the team leaders will be requesting to advance or flank or do something, and that'll be up to you as the commander to accommodate that if it suits your plan at the current time. Engagements with the enemy will be sustained, more realistic firefights where maneuvering and weapon systems and infantry tactics will be what will win the fight, not just DPS and health bars. The enemy will be cunning and ruthless in their own right, and defeating them will take thorough planning, tactical positioning, and rapid adaptation to changing conditions, where employing precise execution of advanced combat maneuvers is what's going to defeat them. You'll have the flexibility to choose your insertion point outside the objective location, and this is where your tactical planning will begin before you even hit the ground. Once you get in, you'll have to maintain supply lines and an evacuation route, and all this will factor into a successful execution of the mission overall. So terrain will play a significant part in your planning at the start of a mission. Imperative will feature realistic looking environments with high quality weapon sound effects and visuals to provide an immersive experience and an accurate portrayal of the intensity of the battle at any given moment. Mission areas of operation will range from 2 kilometers squared to 4 kilometers squared, and you'll be presented with a series of objectives and given the freedom to choose where to insert and how to tackle the mission. Missions will be procedurally generated with objectives and enemy dispositions varying on each playthrough, providing extensive replayability and maintaining the challenge. Your game will start with building your team, choosing specific operators to fill roles in your teams. Each operator will have unique skill sets and abilities that will need to be considered, but also allow you to build task-specific teams if you desire. As you complete missions, based on that operator's experience in the mission, they'll improve or unlock new skill sets. The team leaders and you as the commander will also improve, unlocking more advanced tactics in that action menu and efficiency in leadership, resulting in improved teams overall. So you'll get improved stats to your teams, and they'll execute things in more timely and efficient manner. That completes an overview of the features. It's a pretty ambitious project for a solo dev, but I hope not to remain a solo dev for the entire lifetime of the project. We'll see how that goes. I've outlined a roadmap for myself. That's probably equally ambitious, to be honest, but if not more ambitious, but I think it's helpful to maintain goals whether we meet them or not. Attempting to get to the finish will be more driven than just meandering along. I think the goals with the roadmap helps. My first goal, however, is to develop some kind of playable prototype by the end of this year. I really want to start testing the combat mechanics with that prototype. I think that'll be the core of the gameplay right there, and it's something that it's worth spending some time on to get right. I've been working on Imperative in some form or another for the past 2 years. However, during that 2 years, a small proportion of my time was dedicated to the actual game development. My focus was core mechanics when I was working on it. A lot has been achieved, but it doesn't quite convert to visual progression with the game, and hence why I sort of stopped the devlogs in the earlier days. In order to achieve the prototype by the end of the year goal, I will need to implement more user interface and the team tactical action system that I mentioned. I'm currently planning the AI system and how to best go about that. I want to try and make an all-encompassing AI system that handles both the AI player and other optimization of unit spawning, despawning that I want to do. I intend to use vertex animations for units out of the player view, like units that are actively known about. Like other units can see them, but the player's not currently looking at them, is where I'll use vertex animation. And then completely unloading all the other enemy AI units that are unseen to really increase the optimization of the game. The AI player will need to make decisions based on the player actions and the battle progress, and I also hope to have several presets for the AI behavior that influences how it responds. So that'll be something that can be randomized, how it essentially plays the game, and that can be different each time you play. It can be defensive, it can be offensive, or react to certain situations in many different ways. So let's have a look at the current state of the game. I made this, it's not a demo, it's like a preview for an expo that I took it to. It's just got the one map that you can drive the characters around in. Apologies for the selection sound, something else still got to fix, but it's very loud because it plays a sound for every unit. But I made this keys menu because I was setting up keys to do different things and I kept forgetting which ones I'd use or not, so that's in there. But yeah, we've got the environment, and you can, that's that loud sound. I'll try and edit that out. But so when you go to selection, you can control their spacing, so you can move them out. You can change the group spacing, so you can space the groups out. You can move individual units still. I was working on, just before the expo, I was working on keeping formation. It's still a bit of a work in progress, to be honest. I didn't get it quite right. But the reason why they're slowing down like that is they're trying to keep formation. So when they move together, they should be fine. It's just so, like, if I was going to go this way, they'll form up before they go. and then these guys should go slower to let these guys catch up. And they're going slower now, and then they'll speed up. So it's kind of working, but there is a few outlying bugs with that where sometimes someone just gets caught going slow and they slow everything up and it looks shit. But it's getting there. I'm going to change these icons. They're too big. I'm probably just going to take the white box off and just have like a more of a faded blue diamond. It's just for finding units through trees and things like that. I do have that fade in that if you signed up for the development updates, you would have had access how to make that fade. That's the fade out effect there. But the world, it's using PCG to generate, and like things like these farm fields, and I've made like some data driven tools, so like it just auto generates these fields and the fences and the crops and stuff by just placing a spline. And then there's some other ones like I've got tree line ones, so you can see along this gully here there's just trees. I think there's water in there as well. Yeah, there's like generated water in the lower parts, and it's just all on a spline, and you can configure what trees or what grows in there. So you could do I think this side is a tree line of just trees, no water, so it's just the tree line, so you can get a bit of control over. It's just slowly developing the artistic tools, and Brian's working on some more interesting terrains than this. This is just a test terrain, but it's all work in progress. So you can change the formations as well, so I can change the formations, so I can put them in wedges, for example. Currently the platoon wide sort of formation, so like I should be able to switch these guys to wedge. It wasn't, I can't remember if it was broken or I just didn't implement it in time for the demo, but it is in the code, but it's not implemented in the game yet. But you should be able to like, so I could have, you know, these guys all in line, but in a sort of a wedge formation overall as the platoon. And the concept for what I was talking about, the action menu, just to sort of explain it in game, is when you make a selection like this, you'll have another action menu that comes up, and within that menu you'll be able to choose different tactics to employ. So if you don't know what a bounding assault is, a bounding assault is where half your forces will push forward and the other half will provide suppressing fire, or they'll just cover if you're not engaged. If you're just moving forward, they'll just cover. But if you are attacking somewhere and they're shooting, and then they'll engage while the other team moves. So if I was to do it with these two squads here, there's two ways you can do it. You can do a full squad, squad by squad bound, or you can do it individually in the squad, so half the units will move, the other half will cover, or you can do a squad covers and the other squad moves. Either way, you'll have options for both. But the if we're doing it by squad, so say the right squad's going to provide cover, and this left squad will move up a certain distance, and then they'll stop and they'll provide cover, and then this squad will bound past them, and then they'll stop, and so on. That'll be the attack, and you know you can queue that up, and you know get another two squads over this side doing the same, or just providing more cover, whatever. But when you actually select the option, you'll get sort of like a preview, you know, like they're going to bound up to here, and then you can do adjustments. So you can say, no, I want them to go out to here, or you want to like shift it over to the side, or you know, like, and you can change their spacing so they spread out as they go, or they come in as they go. And do they finish in cover? I can't really demo the cover because really poor demo for cover, this one, where I haven't set it up for partial cover yet, so these fences don't register as cover. But the yeah, that's kind of the action menu, how I want it to work, and that's something I'll be working on soon. That's the current game state. There is combat in, but and it definitely needs some more work. I want to take this time to really thank the Patreons that I have. They've been sticking with me through the last 6 months, which has been intense for me. And without the support of the Patreon donations, I wouldn't have got this far even in the project. And I'm looking for more support. I'm trying to develop tools in the time that I can, so the Patreons get something useful from their donations to the game. 100% of all the money on Patreon goes into the development of Imperative, and it always has from the start. If you can support me and would like access to some game development tools, hit up Patreon. Or if you just want to follow along, I have a subscription-based newsletter for my game development, and you can access that on my website. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in future development logs.